Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live team. It is Wednesday, we are bang in the middle of the first week of the international break. No Premier League football this weekend, no Everton for another couple of weeks. So obviously we're all very disappointed about that one after such a fantastic win last Sunday against Wolves. We're still here to talk about Everton of course because why wouldn't we be? The international break shite. Not really that interested in England, so we're still going to come and talk about Everton. We're going to actually talk about the start of not just the Premier League season, but also the Carabao Cup game as well, and how well I think Everton have started this season. Like I said, it is the first international break, the first sort of break in the season, if you like, the first time we get to reflect as a fan base of how well we have started. Now, I'm fully aware that we're only, 4 games in to the Premier League season, 5 games in if you include the Carabao Cup game, so it is still a little bit early to judge. It is still a little bit early to obviously sit here and judge on what we've seen so far. However, I think we've got a decent indication of how we're playing, and how good we are when we're at our best. And I think it's important to sit down and look at us now. While, like I said, we're not 100% fit, we're not 100% sharp, while the team is still getting used to the new Premier League season, it's important to sit down and look at how well we've started, and how we can improve going forward as well. Because like I said, when you get these international breaks, when you've every couple of weeks, every couple of months, when the players break away and they go and play with their international teams, it's important to sit down and think, right, well, how did we do in that period of time, really? Because you can't judge your season based off the international breaks and based off the little breaks that you have, because typically in a season you'll have different sections of the season, and one section will be good, one section it might dip, and one section might be really good. For example, after the final international break, I believe it was last season, we went on a really good run of form. So obviously we're going to talk about the start of the season today. Gives us a little bit of time to sit down and review it, and obviously have a little bit of a discussion as well. We're going to talk about how the new signings have settled in so far, and we're also going to talk about Marco Silva as well. Mac and Cheese says hello, hope you are doing well. Jeff says alright Cam, alright Jeff, hope you are doing well. Chris says hi mate, hope you're well. Hi mate, I'm doing fine, thank you, hope you're well. And CJ says, is Bernard under a lot of pressure now as Marco has a Iwobi to consider this season? I think they're both under pressure. I think Bernard and Iwobi are under pressure because what you've got now is you've got that competition. You've got that element of competition, like I said, at that left wing position where, last season, towards the back end of last season, when he broke into the team and when he became fully fit, we had a player in Bernard that we all looked at and went, he's absolutely quality footballer. He's going to be in here week in, week out. He's, one of our most consistent players. He was getting a consistent 7, 8 out of 10 every single game, and now we've brought a player in as exciting as Iwobi, who, scored 2 goals in 2 starts, our second highest goal scorer this season, and is really on form. And not only that, but is performing really well in games of football. And all of a sudden Bernard stopped to the bench. Now let's not forget, Bernard started this Premier League season with a really good goal against Watford. He only managed 1 goal in the entirety of last season. He's already got 1 goal now, and he hasn't even played as much minutes as he probably would have liked, because obviously Iwobi's come in and took that position. So I think he is under pressure, but I also think Iwobi's under pressure as well, because there's that competition there now. And then obviously you've got Gylfi Sigurdsson will be under pressure because Bernard and Alex Iwobi can play in that 10 role. So it's really good to see, and it's really good to have. Chris says I hate international breaks. Me too, mate, me too. Just as Everton winning a couple of games of football on the bounce, we have an international break and it all stops. Jeff says we've not set the world alight, but it's been a decent start. It was always going to take a while to get everyone up to speed. Spot on. David says we looked okay against Wolves, but Palace and Villa were terrible. We need to be picking up the pace in the next 4 games. Yeah, we're going to speak about, like I said, the first couple of games, and now obviously it is at the minute about getting used to the Premier League season. I think it's important that we look back and we think, okay, we haven't played any top teams, so we haven't faced any of the top 6, for example, or any of the teams that you'd be looking at as contenders for the Champions League or the title. But we have faced teams like Watford and Wolves, who were sides that were around us last season. Now, granted, looking at the form Wolves are in the minute, looking at the form that Watford are in as well, they mightn't finish anywhere near us this season, because obviously Wolves have got Europa League football. However, those were 2 teams that were in and around Everton last season. We've beaten both of them, so it's important that we look at that as a big positive as well. Yes, we haven't faced any of the top 6 yet, so we can't judge off that, but we can only judge off what we've seen so far. And like I said, that Villa defeat was, massively disappointing and everything. If it wasn't for that Villa defeat, if we'd have even come out from Villa with even a draw, I think we'd have been sitting here now saying it's been a brilliant start to the season. But because of that defeat, I think it still shows that, we've got, a lot of improvements to make, and I think it still shows that this season might be another season of, roller coaster rides, some really, really fantastic moments and some really, really low moments. And part of being a top team, and what we're going to need to do if we want to break into that top 6 and eventually that top 4, is we need to find a consistent level. We need to be going to teams like Villa, and if even if we can't go and get the 3 points, at least be getting a draw. We can't be having a performance one week where we're absolutely fantastic and we're beating we're blathering teams off the park, and next week we're getting absolutely torn to bits by a team that's only just arrived in the Premier League. So again, that's something else we've seen over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the Premier League season, is that inconsistency is still there, and that needs to obviously be targeted and training, and hopefully we can see less of that than what we see in last season, because I think that was a big part of last season, was that inconsistency, was that roller coaster ride that we all spoke about. At times in the season we were saying, we're a mid-table club, and we're not going to finish higher than 8th, and at times we were saying if we keep performing like this we can break into the top 4. So it's important that we get that middle ground and we keep that consistency, and I think that's something Marco Silva needs to look at this season. Leon says, second-rate club, can't begin to understand how Everton think they are big. They don't like the red side talking about history. Villa, Leeds and Forest all bum Everton. Listen, Liam, we're a massive fucking football club. Whether you like it or not, we are. We're the 4th biggest club in England. We're bigger than Chelsea. We're bigger than Manchester City. Don't even bring Newcastle or West Ham into the argument. So I don't quite understand your point there, but yeah, whatever. Fair's fair. David, I take it you're not an Evertonian, to be honest, so whatever. David says Bernard could go central, so Siggy is under pressure. Exactly. There's multiple players that could be under pressure. Bernard, Sigurdsson, Iwobi as well. So it's fantastic to see the competition in the squad. Jeff says, I don't see it as Bernard being under pressure. I see it as us having different options and a much stronger bench. Spot on, Jeff. I see it as the exact same. Listen, when obviously Alex Iwobi come in, there was that discussion of, well, does that mean, Sigurdsson drops out, or does that mean Sigurdsson's being replaced, or does that mean Bernard's being replaced? And I think it's important that we understand a little bit like the Saliba and Coleman situation, that these aren't players that are coming in to replace players because then players aren't good enough. It's healthy competition, and what competition does is it makes the players step up, and it makes the players understand that they need to play at that extra level. If you've got a player there that's got absolutely no one to compete with him, absolutely no one that could take his position in the team, you will see 5 or 10 games where he strolls around and he thinks, I don't really need to do much here because I know I'm going to be in the team next week. Whereas if you've got a player that knows that there's a fella on the bench, or there's a fella in training every single day that's pushing him to his extreme and that's knocking on Marco Silva's door, then that player's going to have to step up and he's going to have to give it 150% every single week. And I think that's something really, really positive to look at this season, is that we've brought in more competition within the squad. David says, give up Leon, yeah. David says, undefeated for 2 weeks, yet it's early, but the positive attacking nature of the team is excellent. I also believe Silva is developing a steely, strong, tough persona. Yeah, he is. He's been fantastic in press conferences. I think, you've hit the nail on the head there. Attacking-wise, we've been a lot better this season. We've been a lot more clinical with our chances, especially over the last week or so, against Lincoln and Wolves. Defensively, we started really, really strong. Obviously, not conceding a goal. Defensive performances were fantastic. And then over the last week or so, we've let that slip a little bit. We've been conceding silly goals. Listen, I don't mind if somebody hits a 45-yard screamer against us and it goes top bins and you think, well, that is what it is. Don't mind Lincoln's second goal because that was an absolute screamer. But, the 2 we conceded to Wolves at the weekend should have been defended a lot better, and the opening goal we conceded against Lincoln should have been defended a lot better as well. But there are definite positives to take from it. Chris says, I'd say being a decent start for Everton. Obviously you'd be disappointed with the Villa defeat, of course, but apart from that, from my view, it's been a good start for Everton. I totally agree. Good source says, right, Cam, the competition for places is a massive positive. It'll do the likes of Bernard and Davis the world of good. It absolutely will. Spot on. And Lavivid says, I'm worried that Bernard may not be able to compete physically in the Premiership. Glad we have finally got competition in the squad. Exactly, and that's what we needed. We needed competition. And for me, listen, I think Bernard's skill and football and brain and talent will sort of, not make up for the fact that he's not that physically strong and he's not that physically appealing on the pitch, but it will almost it'll go hand in hand with that, and we've seen that at times last season as well. The fact that we've got somebody in Iwobi now who is physically strong and who is also skillful and seems to be more of a natural goal scorer as well, obviously gives us options, and is absolutely fantastic. Jeff says, we have to talk about Fabian Delph. What a great signing. He could be the captain, in my opinion. Real leadership has been sorely lacking. Yes, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. Fabian Delph was unbelievable on Sunday against Wolves. For me, listen, I know Richarlison put 2 in the back of the net. I know Obi scored. But for me, Fabian Delph was my man of the match. You seen before the first whistle had even been blown, he was commanding people, he was leading, he was showing that he knows exactly what to do, he was showing that he is a serial winner, and that's exactly what we need in this squad, and that's what we've needed for quite some time now. We've needed a voice in the changing rooms that was going to spur players on, and that was going to, tell players, listen, give yourselves a kick up the arse. We're going to win this game of football. So either, you want to win or you don't. And if you don't want to win, don't get in the side. And that's the type of player that Fabian Delph is. And not only does he do that via his mouth, not only does he do it via talking, but he also proves it on the pitch as well. Fantastic performance by him on Sunday. And like I said, we're going to talk about all the new signings now. They've settled in a little bit, but spot on, Jeff. Darren says, doing a great job, Cam, as always, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Darren. Do you think if we can keep up the good results, the so-called top 4 are going to start to get worried? I do, mate. I do, because if you look at the so-called top 4, obviously you've got the likes of, let's just say, Liverpool, City and Tottenham are out of reach for the minute, because let's be honest, they're a couple of years ahead of us at least. I'm not going to go into talking about how far City are ahead of us, but let's say, obviously the more realistic to catch out of them today is Spurs, and I still think Spurs are at least a couple of seasons ahead of us. But the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester United, they should be worried, because Manchester United are shocking at the minute, and I mean woefully shite, and I've got a bunch of overrated players. Chelsea are struggling, and Frank Lampard's walked into a poison chalice there, and Arsenal defensively can be exploited as well. So these teams should be looking at the likes of Everton and thinking, well, you know what, if they keep up their decent start, if they keep up their obviously goal scoring abilities and stuff, then we should be worried that a team like Everton is going to come in and challenge us for 6th place, 5th place, 4th place, etc. But we need to keep that consistency now. This is about Everton this season. I'm not worrying about Arsenal, I'm not worrying about Chelsea, I'm not worrying about Man United, because those teams could drop points every single week. Those teams could lose games emphatically. If we're not winning, it doesn't really matter, because if Manchester United and Chelsea go out one week and get beat by, I don't know, let's say Southampton and Palace respectively, and then we have a game that, is the chance to give us an advantage, but we go out and get beat by fucking, I don't know, Watford or Newcastle or Bournemouth, then we're in the exact same predicament, aren't we? So for me, Marco Silva and us as Evertonians, we need to look at ourselves now, and we need to make sure we can keep that consistency, and if we can, then the results will show themselves in the Premier League, and teams like Manchester United will drop points this season because they've got their own massive issues. As of Chelsea, we need to make sure that we can keep the consistent results going, and that's first and foremost really, and then I do believe we can challenge those teams. But we can't sit here and look and go, right, we can sit here and look and go, we need to be aiming to challenge those teams, we need to be overtaking them, but let's say if we play on a Sunday and those two drop points on a Saturday, we can't be looking going, oh, they've dropped points. We just need to focus on us, and if we do enough focusing on us, I do think we can finish above United and Chelsea. Where are we? Wayne says, Cam, go on Facebook, add all Evertonians from the groups and share your videos, grow your channel. Facebook is something that I'm going to create. I'm going to create a Facebook page over the next week or so while it is the international break. Hopefully a Facebook and an Instagram will be created over the next couple of days. So thank you very much for that. And Wayne says, hope you're good anyways. I'm doing fine, thank you. Hope you are doing well. Lavvid says, how do you feel about Mina? Would it be hard to criticise him? And he says, not sure about Mina myself. I think he's had an okay start to the season. Listen, there's been a couple of games, the Palace game for etc., the Watford game, where he was an absolute powerhouse. He was fantastic. However, again, last couple of weeks defensively against Wolves and against Lincoln, he did get exploited a couple of times, as did Michael Keane. Again, it's part of this inconsistency that we need to iron out. Listen, I think he's a decent centre half. I really, really do. Sorry, I think he's an absolute powerhouse. I just think, like I said, like a lot of the other players and like the team as a whole, once we start to get that consistency undergoing, once Mina starts to settle into his role a little bit, because let's not forget, obviously, he's been here for the season, he's been here for a little longer than the new signings. However, he did spend a lot of the season either injured or, obviously on the bench, because Kurt Zuma was in the team last season. So for me, it very much is a first season for Yerry Mina as well. First season definitely where he's playing consistent games of football. So obviously I think he does, needs a little bit of time to settle in. But I think he's had a decent start to the season. Mac and Cheese says, alright lads, alright, hope you are doing well. Jeff says, already he's talking about our mental attitude. He picked up on our vulnerability after we score. Exactly, and it's important that the manager's picking up on these things, and it's important that the manager understands that, you know, we need to improve. Even when we're winning games of football, we need to improve. He come out after the Watford game and he was asked, you know, is this peak Everton? Is this, you know, the best you're going to get, basically, by a, you know, a dickhead reporter? And he said, no, not at all. We need to be a lot better. And obviously it's really, really positive to hear a manager come out even after a win and say we need to be doing better. Toffee Talk says the energy, attitude and teamwork on Sunday was brilliant. Shame it's international week. Exactly, and it is a shame. It always comes at the worst time, doesn't it? But you're spot on, Toffee Talk. The energy and attitude was fantastic on Sunday, especially to come back after obviously Wolves scored so late on to make it 2-2. Wayne says 800 subs. Yeah, thank you all so much. I think we had 800 subscribers yesterday, I think it was, or the day before. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the channel, everybody that's supported over the last year of doing it. It means the absolute world to me. It's absolutely baffling that 800 people, you know, sit here and like hearing what I have to say. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for subscribing, everybody that comes and watches the streams, everybody that likes, everybody that supports as well. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer to the 1,000 mark now, so it means an absolute massive amount to me. But yeah, thank you all so much for 800 subscribers. David says, I think Mina will be fine. I hope so. Or it's Holgate. Yeah, listen, Mina's got no choice. He has to be fine, and maybe that's something that'll have a positive impact on him. Maybe he'll look at that with Marco Silva and he'll say, listen, I've got no choice but to play my arse out. I've got no choice to perform consistently week in, week out, so I'm going to have to, and maybe that'll be a positive for him. Lavovitz says, potentially we should only lose 6 games this season. Not that I want to sound negative, but I think it's important that we're positive, but we're realistic as well. And you look at the likes of the City game. I think we can beat any team in this league. I do. On our day, I think we can beat City twice. I think we can beat Liverpool twice. I think we can beat Spurs twice. I do. You know, we proved that last season where we were unlucky against Manchester City at Goodison Park. We should have beat Liverpool twice. And, you know, we should have beat Spurs away from home the last game of the season as well. We've proven that. But I think it's important to understand that and to look at it in a realistic manner and think the thing for Everton, for me, we've got a really good set of players, we've got a really good manager, we've got a really good squad. We just need to find that consistency now, because, you know, it's difficult when you're going through a Premier League season. It's difficult to predict, it's difficult to say where we're going to finish, because, you know, already we're 4 or 5 games in, we're at the first international break, we're at the first, you know, couple of weeks, couple of months of the season, and we're already looking at a game that we've done absolutely fantastic in against a side like Wolves, who, you know, were competing with us last season, and, you know, we've won that game of football. And we're looking at a game against a, you know, a newly promoted side who hadn't picked up any points this season, whose captain had lost his last 20 Premier League games, and we got absolutely turned over by them. So, like I said, for me, it's important that we find a level of consistency, really, and we continue to perform as we're performing now, and not like we performed against Aston Villa. Mac and Cheese says, look, Lincoln wasn't the best result, but their first goal teed offside, it was. So in a way, that was 4-1. Doesn't seem too bad, and we come from behind 1-0 down against a lower league team away from home. Exactly. And you do have to look at the positives. You have to look at the positives in everything in life, and in football it's the exact same. And that is one of the biggest positives, is that, you know, we come back from being 1-0 down. Again, similarly to the Wolves game on Sunday, when they equalised, we didn't let our heads drop. We knew that we still were, you know, more than deserving of winning that game of football. So we went on and we showed that we were the better side, and we won the game of football exactly like we did on Sunday. You know, Wolves equalised very late, and we didn't let our heads drop or, you know, walk round or throw a strop. We said, you know what, we've been the better team in this game, so we're going to go and win it. And if we can do that in every single game, then, you know, obviously those little mistakes that are conceding, are leading to goals being conceded, will get ironed out, because the team spirit and obviously the positivity will run stronger. But we need to keep that up, and ideally we need to not be conceding silly goals as well. Jeff says, it's funny, but both the Delph and Iwobi signings were met with negativity or indifference, but they have made the most impact. Exactly, spot on. Chris says, Chelsea are scoring goals but conceding. At the same time, United are just shit as always. Arsenal still shit defensively. I think they should be worried about Everton, Leicester, West Ham. I agree, spot on. And Chris also says, can't see Wolves challenging for the top 6. They still lack squad depth, in my opinion. In Europa League could kill them. Listen, I watched Wolves on Sunday play Everton Football Club at Goodison Park, and I was there when Wolves absolutely obliterated us late on last season, a few months back, and it was a totally different Wolves side. Totally different style of football, totally different way of playing. When they played us and they beat us, you know, fair and square a few months back towards the back end of last season, they played nice flowing, quick football, on the ball, pacey, you know, Man City-esque really, just a, you know, a little bit of a lower level. When they played us on Sunday, it was like Stoke-esque. It was just long balls and kicking people in the air, and that is what the Europa League does to you, and that, not what the Europa League does to you, that's what finishing 7th and having to start, you know, your Europa League season midway through your pre-season does to you. It tires players out, you have to change your style, and you know, it's really, really difficult, and you know, I agree with you. David says to Jeff, let's see how long they can keep it up. Spot on. Goodsall says, what's your thoughts on what we need to do to improve our away form? This will be key for getting in the top 6. Exactly, again, spot on it. You know, it's brilliant that we're you know, beating teams left, right and centre at Goodison Park, and the Sarden and the atmosphere is getting us through games, but you're spot on, we need to improve our away form. If we're going to be a top 6 side, if we're going to break into that top 6, we need to, you know, be beating at least 15 out of the, you know, the 20 or the 19 teams. Let's say at least 13 or 14 out of the, you know, the 19 teams in the Premier League away from home, and we should be doing that. We should be aiming to do that. Villa's one of those teams, Palace are one of those teams, so in my opinion, we just need to approach away games in a similar way, but obviously it'll be different to how we approach home games as well. I think Marco Silva needs to look at the squad and needs to understand that you can play a different side for a game away from home than a game at home. There'll be players that are more suited to games away from Goodison and players that are more suited to games at Goodison Park. For example, for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's brilliant at home, but he doesn't do well away from home. That's just an example, and I think we need to understand that different teams will perform differently at their home ground, and we need to know how to go out and get a result on the day. Wayne says, who do you think is the best player in the Championship? I would take a punt on Jared Bowen in January. I'm not going to lie, mate, I don't watch too much Championship football, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, just being completely honest with you. However, I dare say Marcel Brands has got his eye on a couple of Championship teams and a couple of their players as well, especially considering the likes of James Maddison, who's obviously come up very recently. Mason Mount, who played at Derby last season, have hit the ground running in the Premier League, so I dare say Marcel Brands will be looking there. Mac and Cheese says Everton and Leicester are definitely the biggest worries for the top 6 sides. Some major upsets could be caused this season by us too. I agree, spot on. David says 18 wins from the remaining 34 puts us in Europe. For me, as long as we finish 6th and not 7th, then that's absolutely fantastic. Or obviously 5th or in the top 4, just anywhere higher than 7th. And I'm going to talk about the Europa League in a second. Live Vid says, I would like to know what position we should prioritise on when the window opens in January. David says centre-back. Exactly, I do think it'll be centre-back. I think if anything, we need to bring in a centre-back. Listen, Marcel Brands is notorious for not spending money in January. He doesn't like the January transfer market. He doesn't like to work in the January transfer market for obvious reasons. Listen, prices go through the roof. Average players go at stupid prices, and you know, you can end up rushing into a deal that doesn't really suit your club. But if we are in a situation where he desperately need a centre-half, I can see a centre-half coming in, and I could see it being Kurt Zouma, if I'm being honest, at the minute, but we'll have to wait and see. Mitchell says, Richarlison doing the Messi celebration at Lincoln just shows how big yous are blood. I don't know whether that's sarcastic, but listen, it's the Richarlison celebration in our eyes, not the Messi celebration. The Richarlison celebration is show the badge to the fans and show what matters. The Messi celebration is saying me, and that's not what Richarlison was doing. Jeff says, having a player with experience like Delph should help with our away form. It's about confidence, really. I agree. Chris says, what were your thoughts on Koeman as a manager? I thought he was decent until he signed too many players in the same position like Rooney, Sigurdsson, Klassen, and form was too poor. Yeah, listen, Ronald Koeman obviously come into Everton. I think he was very egotistical. I think he was very he was too self-indulgent in himself. And you're spot on, he brought in 4 or 5 number 10s and he tried to integrate them in the same squad. He was playing Dominic Calvert-Lewin at right wing back at once, and he wouldn't be able to understand that he wasn't performing well and the team weren't performing well, and he was too big-headed to change it. So yeah, not a good manager for me. Lavovich says, I would agree, Dave Collins. And Jeff says, Mitchell, he did with his shirt the other way round to show the club before the name. How was that bad? Spot on. Listen, we're 22 minutes into this team and I've just realised I haven't tweeted it out, so I best tweet it out so everybody on Twitter can come over and join us here. If you don't follow us on Twitter, please do so. It is at Mighty Blues YT. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Recently hit 800 subscribers, so we're getting closer now to that 1,000 mark. It'd mean a massive amount to me if you could. Jeff says Koeman was a shit house and really lazy. There you go. Couldn't have put it better myself. Okay, let's get this tweet, this team tweeted out, sorry. How fantastic was that picture, by the way, of Moise Keane and Richarlison at the weekend? Listen, I was sitting in the park end, so the pigeon celebration was right in front of me, and I, obviously when you're in the emotion of scoring and you're jumping up and down, you're celebrating, you think, oh, that's boss that, but then when you see the picture afterwards, you think, fucking hell, that is unbelievable, and that, again, the team spirit, again, the attitude around the squad shows to be so positive at the minute, and that is proven with the results. Mac and Cheese says, Man United have overrated their players too much, and now look at them, the next Messi, the best right back in the world, the best centre back in the world. Yeah, for me, Manchester United are probably going to be controversial here, but I haven't got one world-class player, and that includes Paul Pogba. I still think Paul Pogba needs to prove himself, to be honest with you. I think on his day, he's absolutely fantastic, but for me, 9 out of, well, let's say 7, 8 out of 10 games, Paul Pogba's not a world-class footballer whatsoever, so, but let them think what they think. Anyway, let's go into talking about the start of the Premier League season. Obviously, like I said, 4 games in, now 5 games you'd include the Carabao Cup game. We are currently 6th, however, looking at it positively, we're joined 4th. If you want to look at it a bit realistically, we're also joined 7th, but we're currently sitting 6th in the Premier League, obviously with 2 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. Now, let's dissect those results, of course. One of the wins against Wolves last Sunday, absolutely massive result. Fantastic win against the side that, realistically, we're going to be in and around our position towards the back end of the season. And where last season, one of the teams that I think we were all coming into this Premier League season looking at thinking, right, we need to, be beating them over 2 games, and we need to be making sure that we're getting consistent results to better them. Obviously beating Watford as well, again another team that were in and around our position, fell a little bit short last season, but still not an easy game of football, both at Goodison Park, of course. The draw coming against Crystal Palace, which I think in the grand scheme of things wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. The opening game of the season, obviously players were still trying to settle in, players were still trying to get used to playing Premier League football again, having to play, the last half an hour with 10 men, having to play the full second half with our, arguably our best midfielder in Anze Gomez out as well, and obviously Jean-Philippe Gbamin coming in for his debut, and struggling because obviously it was his first game in the Premier League. I think when you look at that realistically, it wasn't too bad of a point, to be honest. Yes, it's disappointing because we had chances in the game to win the game, we had chances to obviously get the 3 points. However, when you look at that, you sit back and you look at the circumstances in that game, you'd take that point for me. Obviously the biggest disappointment is the loss to Aston Villa, and I think, like I said, it would have even taken a draw from this game, let alone a win. I think we'd have been sitting here now and looking at this season and going, well, it's been an absolutely unbelievable start because we've played 4 games, 2 at home, 2 away, we've drawn our away games, we've won our own games, so if we carry on like this, we win the league. Obviously, it wasn't to be. The loss to Aston Villa for me was a big shock and a big disappointment, and again, not only because we lost to a newly promoted side, not only because we lost to Aston Villa, but this was an Aston Villa team that, weren't on good form at all in the Premier League. And for me, more importantly, it was a performance by the Everton team that you just didn't expect. We'd started the season positively, obviously against Crystal Palace and against Watford. We ended last season so positively. We only had a couple of murmurs against Newcastle, Fulham, etc. And you were starting to think, well, okay, maybe we can iron this consistency out now. Maybe we can be consistent. And then this game come up, and like I said, obviously I'd have minded that they're being bothered, but I wouldn't have been that upset and that down if we'd have lost this game 1-0 and maybe Jack Grealish hits a 45-yard screamer. It's a tight game. We miss 6 clear chances and they scored a screamer, but we battered them all game. And you think, well, you know what? Obviously, it's massively disappointing because, we should have taken our chances. And again, it's one of those games that you'd look at and think, we should have taken our chances, we should have won that. But we've lost to a world-class goal, and realistically, we battered Villa off the park. So again, nothing to be too disappointed about, especially so early on in the season. But the fact that we got played off the park for me, and the fact that we got utterly embarrassed, was a little bit of a worry. And, I was sitting there at the end of that game and I was thinking, is this just going to be another one of those seasons where we're constantly inconsistent? We're constantly, one week, we're absolutely bladdered in Chelsea, Arsenal, United, and the next week we're getting turned over by a Sheffield United or a Villa as it be. And it was really disappointing. Obviously, like I mentioned, the Lincoln game coming at a fantastic time after that Villa game. It allowed us to go out there, it allowed us to get a really big win. Obviously a high goal scoring win, and allowed us to bring players like Moise Keane into the squad, Alex Iwobi into the squad, and then obviously the Wolves result after that. But for me, it was a shock, the Villa defeat. Like I said, not just the fact that we lost the game of football, but the performance. For me, I thought we were over that silly type of performance where we just don't turn up and we just don't look interested and we just don't look bothered. Now I think Marco Silva's learned his lesson from that game. Obviously, I think understands that playing Morgan Schneiderlin, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Anze Gomez as a midfield 3 doesn't work because there's not enough dynamism, there's not enough energy in that midfield 3. Obviously since then he hasn't played them 3, and we've got 2 big wins after that game. So again, like I said, for me, you're looking at the start of the season and you're thinking, well, it's been a good start. We're 6th place, joint 4th in the Premier League. We've played 4 games, we've won 2, we've drawn 1, and we've lost 1. Now, ideally, the 2 wins are wins, whether they were fantastic performances, whether they weren't. For me, the Watford one wasn't a fantastic performance. It was a decent performance. The Wolves one was much, much better. We just need to iron out conceding silly goals. The draw against Palace in the circumstances was okay, but the loss against Villa was really, really disappointing. And, I don't think we can afford many of them this season, especially if we want to see ourselves being considered as a top 6 side. If we want to be in and about that top 6, if we want to be breaking into that top 4 within the next couple of years, we can't be being beaten like that against sides like Aston Villa. We just can't be, because, again, those are games that sides like Arsenal, sides like Chelsea, sides like, I know United have lost to Palace this season and obviously struggled against Southampton, but these are games that, we can't be looking at that going, United have lost to Palace and drawn to Southampton, so it doesn't really, make the Villa result that bad, because we need to be looking at it in a light to say, well, actually, if we'd have won that game, we'd have given an advantage against United, would have been given an advantage against Chelsea. We can't minute our results on those sides and go, well, it's alright really, because, we lost, but they lost as well, so it's not actually that bad. Because for me anyway, maybe this is just me being an optimist, a realist, or me looking at situations and thinking I want us to do better. But for me, I look at those situations and think, well, you know what, if we'd have won, would have been given an advantage. Obviously it's not the worst thing, because the other team didn't win, but the Villa game was definitely one of those games that I was sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm really disappointed at that. I'm really, really shocked at that performance. Like I said, it was massive that we got the bounce back against Lincoln and then obviously against Wolves. And for me, we just need to keep up the consistency now. We just need to carry on in this reign of form. We can't be losing games of football like that. We can't be not turning up. Obviously, you're going to lose games of football in the Premier League season. Obviously, you're going to concede goals, but we can't afford many more performances like that where we just get absolutely torn off the park. In terms of goal scorers, obviously, including the Carabao Cup, Richarlison with 3 leading the way, Iwobi with 2, and Bernard, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Luca Dean with 1 between them. So obviously Richarlison started the season again, although not in the most positive light in terms of his overall performances. He looked quite tired still. Obviously he's had a long summer, still proving that he's a natural born goal scorer, still scoring, proving that he can put the ball in the back of the net, when you need him to. He is a game winner at the end of the day, and for me that's why he's our most important player. Obviously Alex Iwobi coming into the team and doing fantastically well, settled in really quickly, 2 Everton starts and 2 goals, and then Bernard, obviously, like I said, again, really positive to see him on the score sheet. Only scored, 2 goals if you include the FA Cup last season, but only scored 1 goal in the Premier League last season, I believe. So obviously it's brilliant to see him already having 1 goal so early on. And then Luca Dean, who scored an absolutely unbelievable free kick and will score many more of them this season, and Gylfi Sigurdsson, who slotted the penalty, and again I expect him to slot many more of them as well. So obviously in terms of goal scorers, you've got the attacking players that are chipping in, which you would expect. You'd expect Richarlison to be scoring, Iwobi, Bernard, Sigurdsson, etc. And then you've got Luca Dean, who obviously scored a set piece. For me, I'd like some of the midfielders to chip in a little bit more. Now, I know we're only early on in the season, but talking about going forward, obviously after the international break, I'd like Gomez to chip in a little bit. I'd like Delph to chip in with a couple. I'd like Kabam, when he comes back, to chip in with a couple. The centre-halves as well, for me, need to score. Yerry Mina very nearly got one on Sunday against Wolves, but for me, Mina, Keane, they need to be getting goals. Seamus Coleman needs to be getting goals as well this season. So, like I said, I'd like more players around the squad to be picking up goals, because we can't always rely on the likes of a Richarlison or an Iwobi, because they will have off days as well. Where are we in the live comments? Let's dive straight back in to it. Where are we? Marking, no, we've done that one. Chris says, do you think Everton can improve in Europe like they have in the past? I do. Jeff says, actually, that is something we don't talk about enough. The vibe around the club between the players seems really positive. Exactly, the team spirit. And if you've not got a good team spirit, then you're fucked. You really are fucked. If there's negativity, if there's a negative influence in the dressing room, then you may as well just write it off. And at the minute, every single player seems to be enjoying the time at the club, seem to be respecting the manager, seem to be really liking the manager, and that obviously is shown on the pitch as well. Good Soul says, don't think any team has hit anywhere near the top of the form, including Everton. We showed a lot of heart on Sunday, and we will get better. I'm very optimistic about the rest of the season. Exactly, and I think that's a really good point. Spot on. We haven't hit our best. Neither does any other team in the Premier League as well. So we can look at United results, we can look at Chelsea results, we can look at Wolves results, but no team is at their peak. No team is at their best at the minute. And that includes Everton. We'll only get better as the players get sharper, obviously, as the fitness gets better as well. So I think, it's important to be optimistic, and it's important to look at this start and go, well, okay, it's been good, it could have been better, it could have been worse, Let's hope that it does get better now, and let's hope it gets consistent as well. David says, Fergie knew world-class players and he sold Pogba. Well, exactly. Jeff says, the Wolves win was massive. It made the difference between a poor start and an okay start. 4 to 5 points would have been poor, but joint fourth is fine. I agree. Ian says, Koeman just came for the money, wasn't asked. Really, really good point. David says, I think the Red Shites have, but everyone else, like, they are there for the taking. Yeah, listen, Liverpool and City are almost guaranteed to start seasons well, because for me, they are at least 5 or 6 years ahead of anyone in this league. Obviously, they've got world-class players. They're very, very consistent, and it kills me to say because I fucking hate Liverpool with a passion, but that is just what it is. Like I said, I'm a realist, and that's how I see it. But in terms of the other teams, even the likes of Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Everton, Leicester, Wolves, I think, could all get better and will all get better. Jeff says, spot on, Ian, he was invincible too, yeah. Jeff also says, don't even think Liverpool have hit their form yet. They were very lucky against Southampton. Very, very good point. Mac and G says, yeah, David, Liverpool is a scary team, but I think we could take more points off them and maybe even win. Yeah, listen, Liverpool can be as good as they want to be. Liverpool can be top of the league. They can be challenging with the title. They'll always feel pressure and a Merseyside derby, and that's exactly what they've done last season. They were, let's be honest with you, although it kills us all to say, and we don't want to say as Evertonians, they were fantastic last season, yet they were still incredibly lucky to get 3 points at Anfield. And I don't mean incredibly lucky necessarily because Pickford threw the ball in his net and they won that game, but they were incredibly lucky that we didn't put away at least 2 or 3 of our 5 or 6 chances that we had, clear-cut chances to win that game of football. And, they bottled it at Goodison as well, and they couldn't get a result at Goodison. Again, in another game that we should have won. So, Merseyside derby is obviously different, and I don't think we can look at Liverpool now and go, oh, well, they're going to beat us because, they're doing well. I think we could beat them twice this season, and then I think they could go on and win every single one of their other games. But, the derby is obviously very, very different. David says, December will definitely define our season. Yeah. And Jeff says, it's a good point, actually, because obviously the December period is always very, very tough. Marco Silva come out last year after a poor December period and said, listen, we need to improve. We can't be doing this again next season. We play a lot of games over a short period of time and we need to make sure we're getting the results in. And I think he's absolutely spot on with that. Jeff says our season will define our season. Fair enough. David says, okay, the direction of our season. Yeah, spot on. Jeff says, sorry, I'm a bit too sarcastic sometimes. And David says, me too. Mac and Cheese says, I think he means that last season, December, destroyed most of our season in 90 minutes. This can't be the same. Exactly, spot on. We were shocking in December last season, and we really, really struggled with the playing loads of football matches over a short period of time. So we need to make sure that going into this season, obviously, we can cope with that a little bit better. CJ says, the City game at home as a 1-1 draw, all over it. Hopefully we can take points off, all of the top teams this season. Jeff says, yeah, I know, Mac, it was just a witty comment that popped into my brain. Fair enough. Eugene says, favourite ever Everton manager of all time. Mine is Howard Kendall and David Moyes. Probably David Moyes, only because obviously I never got to witness Howard Kendall. I never got to witness his greatness. I'm sure if I did, it would have been Howard Kendall. But in my lifetime, definitely it's been David Moyes, from obviously what he done with such a small transfer budget and where he got us in that situation. Obviously was very, very good. David says, we have had a nightmare Xmas period again, was my point. Yep, spot on, David. Dosbig says, what's your job if it's no secret? I work in head office doing admin and HR basically, so not that exciting, but it's alright, pays the bills. And David says, male escort. Definitely not. Jeff says, yeah, but we have more defined squad now and more depth and more belief. Exactly, that is spot on. And Chef also says, nice one, David. Wayne says, do you bet on any sports? I don't really, because I always lose me money and I'm shit at betting, so I don't. David says, it's bouncing in netball. Wayne says, or like any sports other than football. And David says, yeah, netball. I don't personally. Ian says, I won 58 on Sunday, correct score. There you go. Brilliant. Fantastic. Jeff says, Cam, I'm really impressed by your lung capacity. You can talk forever without breathing, it seems. I do breathe. Everyone says that. Everyone says that I'm instant match reaction. Stop. Breathe. You're speaking too fast. Put this lad on 0.75. No, I do breathe. I don't know, really, to be honest with you. I've got asthma as well, so I don't know how I can talk for this long. I've got this thing where if I don't get my point out, then I'm going to forget it in my head. And there's not, there's one of the worst things in life. There's, very little things I hate more than having a boss point in my head, talking about something else for a little bit longer, and then forgetting what I was going to say, and then going, fuck, that was a really, really good point, and I forgot it. So, I don't know, maybe I do need to slow down a little bit, but let me know if I need to slow down, and I'll slow it down. Still says, when you watch behind the scenes videos, you can see a real togetherness in the squad. Everyone seems happy and ambitious. It's great to see. Marcel is doing a great job. Exactly, and that was something that we lacked, with Ronald Koeman. It was something that we lacked with Roberto Martinez towards the end. Was that togetherness in the dressing room? Was that, that team spirit, and it's massively important that Marco Silva and Marcel Brands have brought that back, and we need to make sure that we keep that. We need to make sure that every player is happy, every member of staff is happy. You know, if there's an unhappy soul, sort it out. Why you're unhappy? Do you need to leave the club? If you do, there's the door. Can we solve your problem? If so, how'd you do it? And, you know, let's do it. But 100% spot on. You can see the togetherness, and obviously that's showing on the pitch, and that's rubbing off on the fans as well. Chris says, we lost the league at Goodison Park. That's a fact. There you go, at least you'll admit it. Thank you very much, Chris. Lavvid says, yes, I would say Koeman lost the dressing room. I also blame him for the exit of Barkley. Exactly, and obviously the negative influence that, you know, Eto'o had, although he was a fantastic player when he was here because of the Martinez situation, then that Martinez had, then Lukaku at the, you know, just before he left as well. So there's a lot of reasons, but that's all in the past now, and let's just focus on the future. Dosbig says, haha, my job is boring admin job and I'm shit at betting too. There you go. Pretty much the same person. Mac and Cheese says, people don't want us to take points off City because the Shite could win the league, but we're going to win it. Yeah, listen, we can take points off Liverpool as well, so if we take points off City, we just need to make sure we take points off Liverpool as well, and then all's even, we'll batter the both of them. Ian says, Machine Gun Cam. Shabba says, I was just thinking the same, Jeff. CJ says, love to see Marco filling Klopp. Jeff says, no, you can go as fast as your brain needs to go, matey. And David says, I blame the cocaine. No, definitely not cocaine. No drugs being consumed before, after, or at any point in my life, to be honest with you. Definitely not before live streams anyway. I'm just a hyperactive soul. And you know what? Can't even blame energy drinks because I'm on Still Scottish Water by Sainsbury's. So, yeah, there you go. Just maybe I'm just a quick talker, I don't know. And Eugene says, who will be the first Premier League manager to get the sack this season? Unpopular opinion, Wolves' manager. No money. I don't know. I think it's very, very early on at the minute. I think there's a lot of managers that will come under the cosh. Watford probably. I wouldn't be surprised if Watford goes first. Mac and Cheese says, we're winning the league, lads. Hopefully. Good Soul says, you can go as fast as you want, mate. You're clear enough. Thank you very much, Good Soul. Really, really do appreciate that. And Mac and Cheese says, oh, Defo Gracia, he's a terrible manager. I think he's definitely in for the run, especially if he carries on how he's going at the minute. Chris says, Ollie at the wheel, hopefully be gone. Yeah, if Ollie doesn't book his ideas up as well, he's in the shit seat as well. Yeah, but like I said, overall, listen, I personally, for me, just to obviously to summarise what we've been talking about in today's team. I couldn't get my words out then. I think we've started the season well. I do. I think, listen, I think it'd be dismissive to say we've started the season poorly, and I think it would be silly to say we've started the season fantastically. I think we've started the season well, and probably as expected, obviously. Listen, like I said, we've played 4 Premier League games. We've won 2, we've drawn 1, and we've lost 1. When you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst record ever. We've beaten the 2 sides that, like I said, were in and around our position last season. We got a draw against a difficult side away from home, and it was only that Villa game that you look at in a negative light for me, really, this season. Listen, you could look at the Palace game in a negative light, but I think if you sit back and you realistically look at that game, you think, well, you know what, that's not the worst result. But like I said, it is just the Villa one that stopped this from being a fantastic start to the season. And, you know, like if we'd have lost to Wolves, it would have been a bad start to the season as well. So I think it's been fairly okay. You know, like I said, there's been some games, aka Wolves, Watford, where we've played well and we've got results, and there's been other games where we've really needed to do better, and we've needed to find that consistency in the Villa game as well. But obviously we can only look forward now. We can only go off the last couple of results, and they were 2 big wins, one against Wolves scoring 3 and one against Lincoln as well. So 7 goals scored in 2 games. Obviously brilliant start to the season by the likes of Fabian Delph, who's settled in really, really well, seems to be an absolutely fantastic footballer and a natural-born leader, and exactly what we need at our football club. Alex Iwobi as well, who started unbelievably. Hopefully he can keep it up. Moise Keane, who, like we've spoke about, will only get better. You know, he will take time to settle into this squad, take time to settle into this league, take time to settle into this system, but once he does, he will be an absolutely fantastic footballer in my opinion. And then obviously you've got Gabamon, who's still to come back off his injury. He'll be a couple of weeks further down the line, you know, by the time we play Bournemouth in a couple of weeks, so he'll be coming back shortly. And then obviously the likes of my head's gone blank, Sidibe, who obviously is coming as a backup for Seamus Coleman providing competition, which is fantastic, and Anze Gomez, who obviously we all knew about anyway. I think I've missed somebody there, a new signing, but yeah, it's gone blank. Anyway, yeah, listen, I think overall the team have performed well. Obviously we could be better, we could always be better. The only way we couldn't be better is if I was sitting here saying we've won, you know, all 4 games out of 4, and you know, we're top of the league or we're joint top of the league. Obviously we haven't, so we can improve, but I think it's so important that Marco Silva looks at the start now and looks at how to improve it. And for me, one of the biggest things he needs to look at is that inconsistency in terms of going away from home and just being, absolutely torn to bits by average sides and below average sides, I think it's fair to say. Yeah, that's my thoughts on our start of the Premier League season. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. If you're watching the live comments, let me know your comments now before we go. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave them down below and I'll be replying to those all night. So overall for me, I think so far it's been a decent start. Could be better, but like I said, we're not at our best yet and we are only going to improve, and there's definitely something to work on now, and I think it's definitely a positive start so far. If you're not enjoying today's team as well, by the way, please do hit the like button. It'll mean a massive amount to me, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Where are we? Jeff says the Villa manager that spends 140 million. Another decent shout. Mac and Cheese says Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Lampard and Grossi are the 3 worst managers in the league. Lampard will get better, but they've appointed him well too early. I think Lampard's been given a poison chalice as well. Like I said earlier, he's being brought into a squad of average players, not being able to bring anybody in. Obviously, they've lost their main player in Eden Hazard as well this season. So, I think Lampard will be given a little bit more slack than the other two. Jeff says I hope Ollie stays, Chris, because we'll definitely finish above them then. David says 2 good points there. Thank you very much. CJ says can't wait for next season till we tear the UEFA Champions League apart. Hopefully. Chris says in fact I hope Ollie stays so we can kill Manchester United even more. There you go. Eugene says we'll beat Bournemouth next Saturday. It's Sunday, but hopefully. David says F United. A lot of United hate here. Fair enough, can't blame him, can you? Jeff says maybe something that's worth talking about is the transformation of our team. 8 of the starting 11 were Brands buys. Exactly, and that speaks for itself, doesn't it, Jeff? That again is just showing how good Marcel Brands is doing, how well of a job that he's doing so far, and obviously like you said there, 90% of the squad is players that Marcel Brands have brought in, and look how improved we are from when obviously when Marco Silva took over after obviously the one who shan't be named, and Ronald Koeman as well. So I think it's absolutely spot on, and it's something that we should look at and look really positively at. Ian says, isn't Bournemouth on the Sunday? It is. Chris says, have to go, guys. Great to see him in chat as always. I know I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm respectful. Don't worry, and like to say good luck for the season, so no hard feelings. Thank you very much, Chris. Absolute belter lad Chris is, so give him some support in the live comments. Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and hope to see you on the next one. Wayne says, you got any podcasts or any plans, or you want any podcasts or any plans? I'm not on any podcast yet. Hopefully I will be very soon, and I've got loads of plans coming up for the channel over the next couple of over the next couple of weeks and months, and one of them is a podcast, so keep your eye out for that. Jeff says it's an amazing turnaround in just over a year, in my opinion. It really is. It really is. And Jeff also says, cheers, Chris, later, fella. Yep. Thank you very much, Chris. Lavvid says, you were spot on about goals spread across the squad, e.g. mid-80s, Sheedy, Steven, even Mountfield got 14 in one season. Exactly, and other players need to be chipping in. The midfielders need to be chipping in. The centre half need to be chipping in. That's what will be the difference between us being a top 6 team and a top 10 team. Is we need the whole squad to be chipping in with goals. Mac and Cheese says, yeah, well done, Chris, on the UEFA Champions League win. Amazing squad, and I love it, man. A-class player. Respect. David says, I agree. The business Brands and Silva have completed has been excellent. It has. I just want to point out, by the way, we still hate Liverpool. Where are we? Eugene says, who's your favourite Everton manager of all time? David Moyes has got to be. He says, mine is Howard Kendall or David Moyes. Yeah, mine's probably David Moyes. Just because I've never seen Howard Kendall. And David says, anyway, that'll do for today's team. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Predicting what I'm going to say. And Goodson says, we've massively improved our squad over the last year. Just need to improve our consistency and we'll hit our targets. 100%. Our league targets. I agree, 100%. Doswick says, I wouldn't have thought Iwobi would make such an instant upgrade on our attacking threat. It's an exciting to have a positive winger like him in the squad who's not afraid to take on his fullback 1 versus 1. Spot on, mate, absolutely spot on. Jeff says, later David, thank you very much for getting involved. And Stoll says, if we slightly improve each season, we'll be top 4 contenders in a couple of years. I think exactly spot on, we will be. I don't think that's even up for discussion. If we do improve every single season, if we bring a couple of players in every single season, we'll definitely be up there before we know it. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's stream. A massive thank you for getting involved once again. If you're in the live comments, massive thank you for getting involved. Please do leave a like on the stream if you have enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Like I said, a massive thank you for 800 subscribers. It really does mean a massive amount to me. If you don't follow us on Twitter, please go and do so. We keep you up to date all day, every day on Everton news and news on the channel as well, so don't forget to go over and follow us on our Twitter account. It's at Mighty Blues YT. Don't forget to join us on Friday at 6:15 for another live team. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Everton. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the new signings as well, so don't forget to join us then. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's team. Massive thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're watching the YouTube video afterwards, please do leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll be replying to those all night. And hit the like button if you have enjoyed as well. Jeff says, we are top 4 contenders now, so I agree. David says, Jeff with a kissy face. Yeah, Jeff says, without European football to the sectors, we could sneak in. Yes, we could. David says, wait. There you go. Said exactly what you thought I was going to say. And Good Soul says, nice one, Cam. Thank you very much, Good Soul. And thanks to everybody else for getting involved. But anyway, like I said, that's going to do it for today's team. Please do it the like if you have enjoyed. Let me know how excited you are for the upcoming season, or for the rest of the season, should we say. And how do you think we've started so far? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. Jeff says, cheers, Cam. Later, fella. Later, Jeff. Thank you very much for getting involved. Like I said, leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.